Hey everyone, it's Ryan, and today we're going to start a brand new series on the channel. As you can see, the series will be on Out of the Park Baseball 22 or OOTP 22. I am playing on the beta version of the game. You can actually see that down below, version 22, beta build 29. They're going to release one or two patches over the next couple days, and then the fully updated version will come out on Friday. But I figured, you know what, why not? We'll start the series today, and then if we need to change anything down the line, we can. So this is going to be a franchise mode or a GM mode or new standard game, whatever you want to call it. I'll figure out a title for this eventually. And we're going to be using the Colorado Rockies. That is the team that I decided to go with this time around. So some of you will probably recognize me. I was the one that did the Angels Let's Play on Out of the Park Baseball 17, and then I did the Marlins and Out of the Park Baseball 18. And then I did a few episodes with the Mariners in the next game. Then I did a few episodes with the Phillies. And then last year I did a series with the Red Sox, all on a bunch of different channels. And so now we're on yet another new channel, and Best Available Players. So if you do end up liking the video, maybe just hit the like button and subscribe if you like it enough. But we'll call this one YouTube because I'm always very creative with names. And we'll add in... I'm not going to add every league in, but we'll add like some of the major ones. So we'll add that one. We'll add KBO. Why not? We'll do that one. And we'll add that one too. Why not? And yeah, okay, so that's fine. So those are the leagues that we are going to add just for this, and we will start the game. All right, so through the loading screen, as I said, we were going to be using the Colorado Rockies. I decided to do this because the Rockies are definitely in a state of flux right now for a number of reasons, both on the field and off the field. On the field, they don't have a lot of talent. Their farm system, no matter where you look, it's always going to be towards the bottom of the farm system rankings. They don't have a very good prospect pool. They have, I guess I can say, some issues in their front office based on that article that just went up on The Athletic. I guess it was yesterday. It was a pretty nice look into all the problems that are going on there. So I'm taking over the Rockies because I've always had a soft spot for the Colorado Rockies organization. I have family that lives out in Colorado, so I've always kind of liked rooting for the Rockies whenever I have the opportunity. And I firmly believe that that fan base deserves a good team, and I'm going to try my best to give them that good team that can contend year in and year out. Of course, it's not going to be very easy, especially being in the National League West. You have the World Series champion, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, you have the San Diego Padres in there as well, who've made a lot of great moves over the past couple of years. They're going to be tough to deal with. And you have some other teams in there as well, the Diamondbacks and the Giants. They're not going to be slouches when we're kind of building up this team. So it's gonna be a tough challenge, but it's a challenge that I'm gonna welcome. You guys will remember that when I did do Out of the Park Baseball series in the past, I kind of like to do teams like the Rockies who didn't have a great prospect pool, who kind of needed a lot of help to build things up, and I'm excited to do that again this year. So names, I've never been very good with names. You know what? We'll do Frank Murphy because of a show that I was watching on Netflix recently. If you get that reference, that's pretty cool. I thought about doing just general manager, but we're going to do GM and manager. Part of the reason is I just trust myself more to do both roles as opposed to letting the computer do one, but also I always get asked to do, I guess we can start the game. I always get asked to do tutorials and stuff when I play the game, and it's not that I don't want to do them, but I think there's just so much good content out there already in terms of Out of the Park Baseball tutorials. I know Foolish Baseball did a great series. I think it's Foolish Baseball. Did one, I guess, a couple years ago, maybe a year ago. I don't know. I kind of lost all sense of time recently, but there's just so much good content out there that I think that would be your best bet for tutorials. I mean, I know the Out of the Park Baseball team themselves have also created some tutorials you can check out on their website and their YouTube channel. But I figure if I do GM and manager, I can probably at least show a little bit and kind of impart a little bit of my knowledge from playing this game for years. And, hopefully that'll get you at least, a quick jump start. So this is the starting screen for Out of the Park Baseball 22. This is what you're going to see when you start at least the new standard game for Major League Baseball. So there's Frank Murphy. So let's check the mail and the news. And let's see. So welcome to the Colorado Rockies organization. I trust that our working relation will be a good one. I don't know about that, buddy. I read that article in The Athletic, man. I don't like you. I will submit some new goals each year. I I'll keep the goals on for right now. I'm usually not a big fan of them, but maybe it'll add a little extra challenge for this series. So we're gonna keep them on for right now. Let me know what you guys think, though. I mean, if you guys would rather me just keep the goals off and not have to worry about them, just let me know in the comments. I'm fine with whatever. I'll do whatever the audience wants. But so he wants us to play close to 500 ball, upgraded right field, sign Trevor Story. I don't know if we're gonna do that. Acquire a top player, keep building your team up in order to reach the playoffs in the next 5 seasons. So basically, he wants us to be a 500 team and try to just keep building to try to make the playoffs, which is not going to be very easy, so we're going to delete all. Now, the first thing I always like to do whenever I get into a new out of the park baseball game is go through the settings and just adjust things the way that I need them to be. So, of course, one of the fun things about going into a new out of the park baseball version, of course, with OOTP 22, it's going to take some tinkering. I might have to change settings multiple times throughout this save to kind of get things the way that I want them to be. For right now, I'll kind of set things to values that I've kind of found work in the past. And if I need to change them, if I need to adjust them, we can do that. That's why I didn't do challenge mode. I just did a regular game. That way I have the full ability to change settings. First thing I'm going to change is player rating scales. When it comes to overall potential rating, I kind of just like to use the scouting ratings 20 to 80 in increments of 5. I used to use stars for the longest time, but because the current and potential ratings are from 20 to 80, I figured out that it's kind of easier to just kind of gauge how talented a player is by using just the values instead of the stars. So that is the first thing I'm going to change. Now, one of the biggest things for Out of the Park Baseball 22 is that they've added a completely revamped and new coaching system. So we're going to keep this checked. We're going to keep coach hiring from other teams. We'll keep that as yes. We'll include base coaches. We'll keep on this coach cohesion impact. I don't quite know what any of this is going to do in terms of the game, but we'll keep it on. We'll see. We'll learn together. Maybe that'll be kind of fun. I'll learn alongside everybody else, and we'll see what kind of works, what doesn't. Coaching contract extensions, we'll just keep it on the default setting. And as I said, we'll keep on owner goals for right now, but maybe we'll turn them off eventually. I don't know. So that's all the stuff that we're going to change there. Now I'm going to go into players and face gen. We'll keep the injury frequency on normal for right now. If it seems like we're not getting enough injuries, which if you've played the game before, you know that that's not really an issue. But if for whatever reason we're not getting a lot of injuries, we will change it to high, which is, as you can see, realistic modern day. But for right now, we'll keep it on normal. Now, this is something that I like to, people always ask me when I go into show players, they'll see the player personality ratings. They're like, well, how do you get that? Well, you just go to the settings, players and face gen, you check this box that says show player personality ratings on profile page. It's that easy. And that's how you can see the same things that I do. For the batting aging speeds, I always like to knock these down just a little bit. We're going to start at 0.750. If I need to adjust that, we will. And I'm going to up the talent change randomness just slightly. I'm going to put it up to 110. And that is that for the player injury fatigue and suspensions section. Now, for the face gen settings, I will say that this game can be played on a lot of different systems. You don't need a big, beefy computer to play Out of the Park Baseball 22. I will say that I myself have a pretty beefy computer that I just upgraded, I guess, about a month or so ago. So I kind of like to just crank the face gen settings all the way up because my computer can handle it. But don't feel the need to just copy all of my settings. Just, test around, see if it slows your computer down or if everything just works as it should. Just kind of find something that works for you. For me personally, these are going to be the settings that I choose to do. So I'm going to update or generate the pictures on status updates, or if their mood changes or they've changed teams. We're going to have fictional pictures for all coaches, scouts, and managers, which is always cool. I always like to see how it kind of generates my manager picture. I'm going to disable baseball cards. This is a pro tip, especially if you don't have maybe the best computer. This is something that at the All-Star break, you'll get a lot of baseball cards generated for each All-Star. And if you don't have the best computer, it can kind of take a while to get through that. So regardless, I always just like to uncheck it. I'm not the biggest fan of the baseball card feature in this game. I never have been. I know some people are, though. So you do you. I'm personally going to uncheck that. And I'm going to keep all these other 3 boxes checked. So that's that. For the trading AI settings, this is also something that I'm going to have to tinker with. I mean, this is something that they kind of adjust and mess around with in each new version of the game. For right now, this is new. This was not in previous versions of Out of the Park Baseball. It was just a drop-down menu. So I like this. We'll go in the middle of easy and hard. We'll see what that's like, and if it's still too easy, and we'll do the same thing for favorite prospects. So I we'll see what this is like. If it's still too easy, we can bump these sliders up a little more to the right. For right now, we'll just keep it right there. And the player evaluation AI settings, this is something that longtime players will tell you that you should always change. I mean, you can do you. The settings that I'm personally going to go with are 40, 30, 20, and 10. I mean, people use different ones though, so just find one that works for you. I know that some people have used all 25% for this. I know some people have found other weights that work for them. So whatever you want to do, I'm just going to go 40, 30, 20, 10, and we're going to apply those changes now. We are now in the league settings tab under rules, and I'm going to keep everything the way it is. I strongly believe that the National League should have the designated hitter. Of course, they will not be doing that in 2021, so I will keep it off for the National League in 2021. I might enable it next year. I will also keep this reliever minimum batters faced. I will keep modified extra innings off and the default setting, and that's all I'm going to change, or that's all I'm going to look at in terms of the league rules. But as you can see, there's a lot of stuff you can customize here to your liking. This game is phenomenal in that regard. In terms of the trading rules in the amateur draft, I am not going to allow draft pick trading at this time. It's just something that I've never really felt like enabling. So I'm not going to do that for this specific save. We're going to just keep that off. For the amateur draft number of rounds, we're going to bump that up from 30 to 35. It's just a personal preference, and we're going to generate players for 37 rounds. And we're just going to keep everything else here as the default, and that'll be that. Financials wise, I'm not going to really change anything here. In terms of the options, this is always a good one to go to just for realism purposes. So offense by position award name, that will be, as I'm sure you guys can deduce, the Silver Slugger Award. And then for the defense award, we're going to change that from Great Glove to Gold Glove Award. And then dynamically evolving lead. Some people will say to uncheck this just because it kind of messes up everything. I think in terms of a YouTube series, it kind of works because it kind of makes things interesting and kind of help things pop up that you weren't expecting. So you'll see that almost anything could happen. The league can expand, the roster size could be changed, offense and pitching could be affected, relocation, team, like anything really could happen. So we're going to keep that on. We're going to see if anything crazy happens in terms of evolving the league. And I think there's nothing else I really need to change in here. Oh, yeah, there's always one thing I like to change. It's just a personal preference. It's probably not very realistic. But when it comes to the All-Star game, I always like to change the influence of popularity in All-Star vote from high to moderate. That way, if you're still popular, you'll still get voted in, but it does give you the opportunity to see maybe players that are having a good year that maybe aren't that popular, but that deserve an All-Star bid. So that'll be that. And I'm also not going to force all teams to be represented at the All-Star game. I don't like that rule in real life. So it's, once again, it's the All-Star game. It's one game a year. It's just a personal preference, but that'll be that. And I think that's everything that I want to change in this section. Now, the one thing that I will change here under the Players tab when it comes to generating international established free agents, I will change. You see, international established free agent origin. Right now, 99% would come from Mexico and 1% from random origin. I like to change that to, personally, I'm going to go to reset to modern Major League defaults. Then you see the 40% come from Japan, 30% from Cuba, 17% from South Korea, 10% from Taiwan, and now just 2% from Mexico. You can really do whatever you want. I mean, you could really just adjust this to your liking. I mean, you could have international established free agents come from Canada, like any country you could think of. You can generate some established free agents, the Dominican Republic even. I'm just going to keep it on that default function, but this just makes it so that when these international established free agents are generated in the off season, they're not all from Mexico. They will come from different countries. And I'm going to I'll keep it at 10 for right now, and then we'll go from there. And that's really all I'm going to adjust for the settings for everything. But as you can see, there's just so many things you can change in this game. That's why I love it so much. You'll always have a different experience no matter what save you play. There's just so many things you can adjust. It's just a lot of fun. So with that being said, we are with the Colorado Rockies. So in this first episode, I don't like to really simulate. Those that have been around for a while know that I just kind of like to take a look at the team, see what we got going on, and then go from there. So just a quick look at the front office. You can see that right now our budget is tied for 12th in Major League Baseball at $190 million. Our player payroll is 18th at $94 million, almost $95 million. We have currently $55 million available for free agents, $70 million for extensions. The fan loyalty, surprisingly, is very good, and the fan interest is 70. I don't know if that's quite going to be the case as we move on. So a quick look at the salaries tab. Our most expensive player right now is Charlie Blackmon. He's due to make $21 million each of the next 2 seasons, and then he has a third-year player option in 2023. We have Trevor Story, who, of course, will be a free agent at the conclusion of the 2021 season. I'm not against re-signing him, but I don't really know if he would want to come back. In fact, if we look at what he would want for an extension right now, he's looking for $30 million. So he's looking for an AAV of 36.25, which it's not a crazy ask for a 28-year-old power hitting shortstop, but we're just going to wait and see how he does. I know our owner wants him to be re-signed. I'm not against trading him for prospects because I think that's what this team needs, but let me know in the comments. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I always like to see what people in the comment section have to say. So if you think we should trade him, if you think we should re-sign him, whatever you think, just let me know what you personally would do. I always like to see all the input. We do have Ian Desmond. Now, he is on the restricted list because he did opt out for 2021. So I was going to say I'm glad I don't have to do that. And other than that, the salaries really aren't that bad. We have Marquez on a pretty solid deal for the next couple seasons. And, I mean, if he continues to be a reliable pitcher, then 15 and 16 million, that's not a bad deal either, especially because that would be, I guess, what is age 29 and 30 seasons. So we have him on a pretty good deal. And then everyone else is basically on just some cheap deals. So that's why we have a lot of money available, which is good. If we go to our personnel, I will say one of the things I do like to do is update the coaching staff to my liking. Of course, this year it might be a little different just because they've completely revamped the coaching system. They have first and third base coaches now, so I don't know how that's going to go. I'll do that off screen. I'm not going to waste your time doing that because I like to adjust the coaching staff for the entire organization, not just the major league option. We do have a pretty good scout as it is. We have Bill Schmidt, who is signed through 2024 at $895,000. He highly favors ability. You can see that his scouting ratings are actually pretty solid. He has excellent ratings for scout major leagues, minor leagues, and international scouting, and outstanding for scout amateurs. So whereas normally I might try to look to get a different scouting director, we might actually just be able to stick with Bill Schmidt for a while. He is 61, so he might retire pretty soon. He has been in the business for 26 years, but we do have him locked up for a while, so I'm not against keeping a guy like Bill Schmidt. I mean, when it comes to scouting directors, you could certainly do a lot worse. And so this is new, this staff roles screen as part of that coaching revamp. So we can actually have certain coaches teach certain position groups. We can ask the AI to set the roles. You can see that based on the personality, who they might work well with, who they might struggle with. So this is pretty cool. I'm glad that they revamped the coaching system. I think it's something they've needed to do for a while, so I'm excited that they finally were able to get it in for Out of the Park Baseball 22. I'm excited to mess around with that and see what it actually affects, how it affects player development, how it affects performance. I'm really excited to see what this does over the long haul. So, I mean, we're looking at accounting, we're looking at scouting, the budgets and everything. This is stuff that I can adjust off screen and then explain in the next episode. But right now, I'll show you guys what it is. Right now, our scouting budget is set at $11,640,000, and the development budget is set at $11,730,000. You can take a look at this team that we're taking over in the Colorado Rockies. They had a good 2-year run there. They went 87-75 in 2017, 91-72 in 2018. But other than that, it's kind of been a struggle for Colorado. So this is why I was excited to take over this team. I think I can make this team into a contender. Of course, when it comes to Colorado, the toughest part is always going to be acquiring pitching, good pitching to kind of counteract the Coors Field effect. So that'll be the big thing that we're going to have to try to focus on. I'm pretty confident in my ability to find some offense, but pitching is going to be the big thing. As it stands right now, there's definitely a lot to be desired when it comes to the pitching rotation and the bullpen, both at the major league level and then throughout the organization. So to close this episode out, the final thing that I want to do is just take a look at what the organization looks like in terms of the players. So we'll start at the major league level. You can see we do have some names here. We have Blackman, Story. We have Raimel Tapia. By the way, I'd like to say this too. If I mispronounce any names, please let me know. It's just, I don't pretend to be an expert when it comes to players around the league. I like to think that I have a pretty good idea of who most people are around the league, but I know eventually I'm going to mispronounce names. I'll probably mispronounce names in this episode. So if I do it, I apologize. Just if you do know the pronunciation, let me know. That way I can fix it moving forward. But with that said, this lineup is definitely not as beefy as it has been in years past, which is unfortunate. We do have Ryan Mcmahon. I am interested to see if maybe we can develop him into something more than just a bench player. But, I don't know. We take a look last year. He did not have the best go-around. He only had an OPS of 714. So he's only 26 years old. Maybe we can do something with him. I don't know. Of course, the big hole is at third base. We no longer have Nolan Arenado, who they traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, along with cash, for Austin Gomber, Mateo Gil, Elihuris Montero, Tony Losi, and Jake Summers. So it was not the most enticing trade package. A lot of people gave the Rockies really bad grades for that trade. I saw a lot of Fs, which is understandable. So that's something else that we're going to have to deal with. I kind of wish that I would have had the opportunity to trade Arenado for a prospect package that I would have liked more, but we have to make do, and we'll try our best to make do with it. You can see that right now we do have Gomber in the rotation to start things off. It does not seem like he's going to be a very good pitcher, especially when it comes to Coors Field. You can see a fly ball pitcher who sits at 92 to 94. That's a little worrisome. The movement rating is 2, but you can see that he does have some solid pitches. He has a 60 grade fastball, a 70 grade changeup, a 55 grade slider. We'll see if the cutter or the curveball maybe ever come along. He's already 27, so there's probably not a lot of room to grow, but if he can just be a back of the rotation arm, reliable, that would be big. A guy that can just eat some innings for us and give us some consistent performances. That's really what we're looking for. Kyle Freeland is an interesting guy. He had a really good season in 2018. Got Cy Young consideration. And then 2019, he kind of went back the other way. 2020 was a little better. We'll see. I think ultimately we're never going to get that 2018 version back, but I would not be against if we're able to keep him at around that 2020 version. Just as I said, another guy that can eat some innings and give some consistent performances. That's what I'm really looking for at this point. The team as it is not a contender. It's very far from it. So if we can just get some guys that can eat some innings until we find some, higher end arms, I mean, that's going to be the goal. We do have German Marquez, who I'm excited about to have. He's going to be our ace. He's not a guy that I would be against trading in the right package, but it would probably take a good prospect package in return. He's only 26. He has good ratings. He's a neutral ground ball, fly ball tendency. He sits 96 to 98. He's a really good power pitcher. So I'm excited to at least have him for sure. John Gray, former top prospect. We'll see if we can get him back to what he did in 2019 as opposed to how he performed last year. Another guy, 96 to 98, neutral ground ball, fly ball tendency. His stuff and his movement aren't the best, but he does have 3 solid pitches, so we'll see if he can become a reliable starter for us. He's another guy, 29 years old, so, he might not be around for a long time, but we'll see if we can get some good years out of him yet. And Antonio Sensatella is currently slotted in to be our 5th starter. He's probably not going to stay there. He is an extreme ground baller, but the 35 grade stuff rating really worries me as the fact that he only has 1 reliable pitch in the fastball. So that might change as the season goes on. We might try to find somebody else. We went through the lineups. It's not great here either. We have our work cut out for us, basically, is what I think I'm going to have is the best way to put it. Now, if we take a look at the organization as a whole, it is unfortunate that Peter Lambert is going to be coming back from Tommy John surgery. He is a guy that I probably would have liked to have had as my number 5 starter. Unfortunately, he will be out for the entire season. Brendan Rodgers, he has a strained hamstring, but he will be back soon. He'll be back before opening day. So he's a guy that I'm probably going to try to get a lot of starts in at some position. We take a look. He can play second base and shortstop at a respectable level. So we're going to get him some at-bats. As I said, Ian Desmond opted out for the 2021 season, so he will not be a guy that we can count on. Not that I think he would have done a lot anyway, based on the batting grades that he was given. So that is that. The Rockies, as I said earlier, do not really have a lot of great prospects, and their prospect pool was not really majorly affected by the Arenado trade like it should have been, at least in my opinion. Their best guy, depending on where you look, I'm looking on Fangraphs. Their best guy, according to Fangraphs, is Zach Veen. He's a guy that definitely has some potential to be a pretty solid outfielder for us, a corner outfielder. He's not going to be able to play center field, but if the power comes around and, he can avoid strikeouts at a respectable rate, this is a guy that I'm pretty excited about, but he is only 19 years old. So it's going to be at least a couple years before we see him, and maybe even longer than that. So we're going to have to be patient and hope that he kind of lives up to his potential. But, we'll see. At least that's kind of something exciting that we can deal with. I did see that he was at high A. So I will give you all one tip right now. I know that especially if you're a new player to Out of the Park Baseball, it can be really overwhelming to just see all these different players, and you kind of want, you like, oh, do I have to worry about all these guys, promoting them and demoting them from all these minor league levels, this and that? Technically, you don't have to. The biggest tip that I can provide people that don't want to micromanage their minor league system, and trust me, I feel that way too sometimes, is if you're not going to do that, at least just worry about the top prospects that you have in your system. So the way that I like to do it is you can right-click on their name, and the first thing I like to do is add them to a short list. So I will call this 2021 prospects, or actually I'll call it 2021 top prospects, not prospects. Oh, Ryan forgot how to type today. Oh no, don't watch. Turn your heads away. Prospects. Okay. I remembered how to spell there. So now he's on a short list, which is big. So the second thing that I like to do when it comes to my top prospects is I go all the way down to transaction, and then I disable AI demotion and promotion. So, maybe you don't want to have to worry about when to promote, I don't know, Taylor Snyder, right? I don't know, just the name that I saw. And you don't really care if he gets promoted up or down. You don't care what his development path is. Well, by disabling promotion demotion for your top prospects, you can control that. So you can kind of see if a guy is doing well enough to be promoted, or if, maybe he's struggling a little bit, he shouldn't be at this level, so you can demote him manually. That way you're not relying on the computer to kind of determine when your top prospects should be promoted or demoted. So that's my biggest tip. If you're not going to micromanage your entire minor league system, which I don't blame you if you wouldn't, I know that's a big drag for a lot of people. And my suggestion is just to manage your top prospects the way that I just did it. And the benefit to adding a guy like Zach Veen to that short list, number one, you can see that his name is now in all capital letters, which indicates that he is on a short list. So I can go to click my manager's name. I can go to player search and short list. I can change the short list to 2021 top prospects. And now I can see him there. Now he's easily accessible. Anytime I want to see how he's doing, I can just go to that short list instead of trying to, go to the rosters and transaction screen, then trying to find where he is and scrolling all the way down. I can just easily go to my manager's name, player search and short list, 2020 top prospects, and he's there. So he's easily accessible. I can click on his page. I can see how he's doing. I can see if he deserves to get promoted or if he needs to get demoted or anything. So that's what I would recommend doing. I'm going to do this for a number of prospects. You take a look at how their prospects or top prospects currently are assembled. You have guys like Ryan Vlade, Drew Romo, who I'm very excited about to have. Drew Romo, OOTP, longtime players will know about Drew Romo. So I'm excited that he's in the organization. Michael Toglia, Chris McMahon, Bretton Doyle, Colton Welker, who is currently on the Major League roster in this game. Adiel Amador, Helcris Olivares, and then Aaron Schunk are the top 10 prospects according to Fangraphs. Then you have some guys below them, so I will do that off screen. I don't want to waste people's time doing that. But that is, yeah. So Rockies, not. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough grind for a number of reasons, but I'm confident in my ability to build this team into a contender, even in the tough NL West. The Dodgers, of course, will always be really good. So it's going to be tough to overtake them, but I'm confident. I think that we can do this, and I think that we can build the Rockies into a dynasty and get them that World Series. So you take a look here, they have never won the World Series. In fact, it's very rare for them to make the playoffs in general. You could say they've made it just 5 times in their lifespan, 95, 07, 09, and then 17, 18. But other than that, it's really just been a lot of mediocrity for this team, and even sometimes less than mediocrity. But I think the Colorado fan base does deserve a winner, and I am going to make it my goal to make this team a winner. So that'll be episode number 1. Episode number 2 will be out tomorrow on March 24th, and that is when we will kind of start simulating. We'll get into the regular season. We'll set up the team. We'll see how things are going, and that'll be that. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, insults, compliments, riddles, whatever you got, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I always enjoy reading them, as I say every year. Give me some input on the would you trade Trevor Story? Would you try to sign him to an extension? Any players that you'd like to try to see featured, or guys that I should try to trade? Just anything that you guys think. I always like to see the input, and I definitely take that into account when I make the moves that I do. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching episode number 1 of my Colorado Rockies series. I'm very excited for this. I think it's going to be a fun series that we can follow along here over the next couple of months. And I will see y'all again in episode number 2. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you feel that it deserves it. So once again, thank you, and I'll catch y'all again next time.